With Roman Reigns going on a nearly 3-year run, the question has been asked many times over the last couple of years, who is going to be the one to finally take down Roman Reigns? Or more importantly, who should be the one to take down Roman Reigns? In this video, we're going to break down a few potential candidates and ultimately come up with the answer of who we think will finally take down Roman Reigns for his WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. So first, let's talk about a few of the contenders who Roman Reigns will likely face in the coming months that we haven't yet seen. Those include Bobby Lashley, Bray Wyatt, potentially a returning Randy Orton. All of these men have yet to face Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal Championship, so I think they would be really good candidates to make as believable candidates to take down Roman Reigns. If you look at Bobby Lashley, that matchup with Roman has yet to happen for the Undisputed Championship, and that will likely be a lot of fun to watch. The match will be of high quality. That's not going to be the problem. The problem is that we all know at the end of the day, when you put Bobby against Roman, as fun as that's going to be, very unlikely that he ends up winning. When you look at a potential Bray Wyatt return, I think that Bray Wyatt is still recovering from this physical or mental issue. I don't know if he's the one, even when he comes back, to be the one to take the belt off of Roman. Why? Well, as poetic as it would be, that Roman Reigns is the one that took the Universal Championship off of Bray Wyatt in the summer of 2020. So they do have a backstory. The story would be a lot of fun, but ultimately, would they deliver a really good match? Probably not. Bray Wyatt has had one 4-minute match since he returned to WWE about a year ago, and the quality of the match may be in question. And ultimately, can Bray Wyatt be relied upon? And does Bray Wyatt even need it? I think the answer to all those questions are a bit concerning. So Bray Wyatt probably will face Roman at some point, but is not likely the candidate to beat Roman Reigns. Randy Orton, however, does have fewer of those concerns if and when he returns. He's a much higher quality in-ring performer. You know he can always put on very good to excellent matches, and there is a story going back a year ago when the Bloodline took out Randy Orton and injured him, which is why Randy Orton has been on the sidelines since that time. So while Randy Orton would also be a lot of fun, and the matchup from a name value perspective would get a lot of attention, ultimately Randy Orton is an aging superstar. He's not somebody that you want to have defeat Roman Reigns' streak, because it's not going to do much for Randy's career. It'd get a nice pop from the crowd, but at the end of the day, it's not how you want to use the value that's been built up around Roman Reigns to give it to Randy Orton, who doesn't need it. Now, when you look at other potential candidates, some more realistic ones, Cody Rhodes, of course. How can we not talk about Cody Rhodes, who continues to get distracted by Brock Lesnar? Eventually, I think he'll find his way back to Roman. The question is, how does he do that since they're on opposing brands? Well, beyond the fact that WWE has very rarely respected their own rules of the actual brand split, there are a couple of ways in which Cody Rhodes still could find his way back to Roman Reigns. The first is Royal Rumble. If we get a Cody win again at the Rumble, he could challenge Roman Reigns for his championship if Roman is still champion at that point. Of course, you could have him just show up at SmackDown, which has happened already with crossover stars going to the opposing brand. You could have that happen, and Cody just attacks Roman, attacks Solo, and we're off to the races again. That is a definite possibility, and he could finally finish the story with Roman Reigns. And to be honest, you could argue Cody Rhodes is the #1 babyface in WWE right now, so there's a lot of fan support for this. And honestly, Cody Rhodes is young enough, and he just had his career rejuvenated in WWE since returning, that it would, I think, propel him to another level. So that is a real possibility. Seth Rollins, same case here. And Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns have yet to really have a proper program. Seth Rollins is undefeated against Roman Reigns when it comes to, I believe it's title matches. So that means that you could have a very interesting narrative going into that story. They never, again, had a nice long program. It's been here and there, and they haven't crossed paths since the Royal Rumble. in 2022, so nearly a year and a half ago, in which Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have crossed paths, and it has yet to happen, and it's destined to happen. So Seth Rollins is also believable and credible, just as Cody Rhodes is. Now, you also have Sami Zayn. Could he challenge Roman again? He could. Is he believable to beat Roman? If they didn't pull the trigger in Montreal, when everything was at its peak, when the boiling point of this storyline was reached, when the crowd support was off the charts for Sami, in a perfect scenario, if they didn't pull the trigger then, they're not going to pull the trigger now. It'd be very unlikely. You have other candidates as well, kind of the dark horses of Braun Breaker coming up from NXT. We've heard that a number of times, really over the past couple years, that they're grooming him to beat Roman Reigns. That is a possibility, of course. You have the Money in the Bank winner, whoever that may be for the men. That person could cash in on Roman Reigns as well. So there are a lot of candidates, but let's look inside the bloodline for the most likely candidate or candidates to beat Roman, and really ultimately who should, because I think those are two different questions. The two different questions of who will and who should aren't always the same. In a perfect world, they would be. However, when we look at the person who should beat Roman, I think it's Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso has been the best actor in the entire bloodline story from start to finish. He has crowd support, I think, more than his brother does. I know that right now we don't know which side Jimmy is going to fall on, but ultimately I think it's going to be with his brother. And I think Jey Uso could be the one to beat Roman Reigns for that championship. And that, I think, would be, right now, as it stands in June of 2023, who should be the one to take down Roman. It's inside the bloodline. You could have Jimmy, but right now I think Jey is the one to do this. Now, one more person I want to talk about. And no, it's not Solo Sikoa. I don't think Solo is going to beat Roman. I really don't believe that. What about The Rock? That's the last person I'll add here. The Rock. Sure, if he comes back for WrestleMania 40, which apparently he's scheduled to do, you could have him face Roman Reigns, and he could face Roman for the championship. But why would you give a championship to a guy that's going away the next day? It is not going to happen. So as fun as The Rock and Roman will be when it happens, hopefully, it is not someone, The Rock is not someone that you want to invest in, because he's not here for very long. He's here for a big payday and a great reaction and a lot of fun for a story, but that's not the focus. And honestly, if you add the title to The Rock versus Roman Reigns, I think it takes away from the match, because you are kind of you're gonna see who's gonna win this, because the fans are smart enough to know if the title's involved, it's nearly a foregone conclusion that Roman wins. If you don't have the title involved and Roman has already dropped the belt, then there's more of a question of who could win that match, which I think is more important. So those are my candidates, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.